And we're live with Rachel, who doesn't have a surname. and I will be asking her Victor Galenko's 4 questions, but only one question in this hangout. And the first question is, it's technically not a question, but please tell us about your studies and career and/or career.
Okay, so I had a little bit of time to think about this, or at least to look at what the 4 questions were going to be beforehand. And immediately, my reaction to somebody asking me to talk about studies and career is anxiety. Like, oh no, I have to come up with something that sounds good because this is not something that I'm proud of or that I think about a lot. So I guess I'll start with school. What's up?
If you go like right at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
as a young child at school, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So like early on in school, I did really well in school, and I think that partially that's because I had social anxiety. So I was very focused on doing my work to pass the time. Whereas now it's harder for me to focus on things like that when there's people around. So yeah, I kind of think of school and career as annoyances that have to be dealt with in order to survive in life. It's not something that I enjoy thinking about. Let's see, what else? I had to make notes because this subject is kind of hard for me to talk about. Oh, I really liked band class in school.
Pardon, what class?
Band, music.
Oh, I thought you said bland. Sorry.
Yeah, bland class. It's the most exciting class. Um, yeah, I really like that because it was like a very free spirited environment, and it was the one time of the day where I was not sort of all clammed up and being shy, and I would just goof around with everyone, that sort of thing. So I love band class, but I don't know if you can really even call that studies. What else? I
Why?
uh, what's
Why
that?
do you think? Why do you think you're able to be looser and more expressive in that particular class?
Well, I'm very critical of myself. Um, I always felt like I was going to say the wrong thing, say something stupid, make a fool of myself. I never thought that I was popular or liked or, part of that group of people. Um, so I just felt like I had to be more reserved and it wouldn't be received well if I was myself. I didn't want to call attention to myself and be picked on and that sort of thing. But in band class, it was like a different group of people where I wasn't really worried about, you know, being teased or anything for being silly, or I don't know. Does that make sense?
Was it because you were good at the subject or
Oh,
confident in it?
oh, that's true too. Yeah, I was good at. I played trumpet, so I was good at it. So that was part of it, I suppose.
So going back to when we went through Model G,
Mhm.
you were on your territory and therefore more expressive.
True, but I was good pretty much in all of my classes as far as succeeding in the class and being
Right.
at the top of the group comprehension wise. But, um, I guess you're not supposed to be goofing around and laughing loudly and making a lot of noise in your other classes. And I really enjoyed that I was encouraged in my
Right.
class.
So you also more. Was it the class you were most enthusiastic about?
Oh, for sure. Somebody told me one time, you're a totally different person in that class than I ever see you in any other setting. And I would say that that's true, or that was true.
Do you think there was a carryover from, because you're expressing yourself musically,
Hmm.
you're in an expressive mode, and so then when you come to interact, that sort of that mood is going to carry over?
Yeah, that makes sense, I think. And yeah, as like I was saying in the other classes, it's not encouraged to be loud, and yeah.
So, what was your least favorite class as a small child?
Oh, my least favorite class. I really, really disliked government. I just hated memorizing dates and laws, and it just seemed like a never-ending stream of random information that I didn't care about. Um, yeah, I guess that would probably be it.
Oh, interesting. Um, right. So that was the only. What? So mathematics didn't annoy you? It was just the government.
I liked math for the most part because you could just learn a rule and then apply it to all the things that you're doing at the time, and you'll get through the test and do well. It's if you can learn those little rules, then it's simple. I didn't mind math. I didn't like it too much when I had it at 8 in the morning, but in general, math I didn't think was that bad.
Wow, you're telling me some interesting things.
Oh yeah,
Making me think about your functions.
okay.
So what do you think about rules then?
Rules that you can apply to lots of things. What do you mean?
Just in general,
rules that
do you?
control people, or rules that
Oh,
are like principles that you can.
yeah, like, do you think a structured environment where there's like where there's instructions, would you rather have clear instructions or be free to improvise?
Gosh, I think I like having a really clear idea of what's expected of me. Um, yeah, and if I don't get that sort of information, then I would ask for clarification. Whether it's a social etiquette, or what are you expecting of me to do with this task? Because I don't want to disappoint, you know?
We're definitely got to go through the ISFJ profile with you.
Okay. Well, it wouldn't be the
Wow.
first time somebody went in that direction. So.
But again, all deltas do value SI, and that quadrant does value that kind of thing. So just so people who aren't American have an idea, like when people mention like 12th grade, junior grade, it's like people's eyes roll over. They don't know what it means. But if you like tell us how old you were at this time, then people can relate it.
Okay. So you mean like for band class, or what?
Yeah. Just whenever you talk about school, if you don't tell us what grade it was. Tell us how old you were at the time.
Oh, sure. Okay, I can do that.
So when you're in band class, how old were you?
Well, I started band when I was 12 or 13, I think, but it was maybe when I was 14 that I really sort of came out of my shell and just started to have a lot of fun with it.
Right. So do you think that you could have taken it further, band class?
Oh gosh. Well, to be honest, I had sort of an advantage over the other people because both of my parents play trumpet. So I had some time at home before the other students started learning. to get some skills. And I would practice at home with my parents sometimes. And I was definitely doing better than the people around me in um, high school. I hope that's not too ambiguous. For 14 to 18, right? But then when I went away to college, I went to a school that had like the best marching band in the state. And I was, bottom of the totem pole there. So I felt very discouraged. And during marching band, it was fun enough. There was like a very strong sense of, oh gosh, I don't know how to explain it. Like community or something, like we're all on the field and we're supporting the team, and it was just fun. But once that time period ended, and it was just like orchestra, I just dropped out. It was too depressing for me because I thought no matter how much energy and time I apply to this, I still am going to be at the bottom of this group. And, I didn't like that. I wanted to apply myself to something where I could really feel like, oh, I'm doing an amazing job and I'm helping other people. And, you know, so yeah, I didn't go too far with it. Not as far as I thought I was going to.
Wow. Wow. I'm gonna asking people what type to think based on this. I wonder what they'll put. So what age? So what were you like in your final 2 years at high school?
Oh,
How were you?
I
How
had
were you doing in the subjects?
I was doing well in the subjects, but I think more importantly to me, I had started to come out of my shell. There were people that I could connect with and have a good time with. And it was kind of bittersweet because all through school I had been so shy and I had been so depressed. And it was like, right when it's almost time to leave is when I really started to enjoy my life there. So, yeah, I didn't want it to end.
Right. Ah. So what were your thoughts when it came to college and how useful you thought it would be?
Really, the only thing I was concerned about was impressing my parents. And I wanted to go to the school with the best band because my parents are all about music. They're both musicians, they're both in bands. They met in a band, and that's why they were together. Um, so I felt like, oh, well, I have to go to this university. And even though in my heart I really wanted to be around my friends and be at like just a community college so I could keep those connections. And then when I went off to college, I was just miserable. And I would come home as soon as my last class ended on Friday. I would be on the road and I would be driving home, and it was like, a 2 hour drive. And then I would stay until the last minute and just make it to I think it was Spanish class. Back on Monday, I would be speeding, got pulled over twice. So yeah, I didn't really like college too much. And then because I was depressed, I thought, well, I better take a break from this and get my head together and reevaluate what I want in life. And I'll come back when I can focus on things and I really have a sense of what I want.
So which subject were you doing in college?
At that point, I was just doing like general education courses to get them out of the way. But my intention was that I either wanted to go into psychology to help other people who are depressed and have social anxiety and that sort of stuff, or physical therapy.
Right. And so while you were at college, we're continually thinking about how useful is what I'm learning to a potential career.
Oh, I didn't think it was useful at all.
But,
It's
but
just the stuff that you have to get over with before you can get
right.
on to, yeah.
But I'm sort of like getting at what you value, whether it was like you were looking, you were sort of like measuring everything you were learning by, I want this to have a practical usage for my career. And did you feel that this is not really helping me getting towards where I want to go to? And I was just wondering if that played into it.
No, to be honest, I didn't really think in that way too much. My attitude would be, oh, I have to go do this class and it's going to be a lot of homework and I wonder if I can get through it and they're going to make us work in groups and it's going to be scary. And,
Right.
I wouldn't really think, oh, this is not useful to my career because it's just
Right.
like, well, you just have to do this. It doesn't matter if you think it's useful. You're going to have to do it anyway.
Did you feel it was abstract or have a practical use?
What's that?
Did you feel it was too abstract for you and you would?
I didn't really take any class. I was there for 1 year,
Right.
and my classes were like I took intermediate Spanish. I took like African American religion, which was really interesting because they did like multiple. And I'm very interested in all different types of spirituality. I did have an anthropology class, which was way more boring than I expected, but I was excited about that class. I don't know. I don't really think that I thought, oh, these classes are too abstract.
Um,
Um,
you said something. Which was the one you were really excited about? Not the anthropology one. You said one before the
it was
anthropology.
African American religion, and they did. I went to a lecture on voodoo, which I thought was super fascinating because when you actually look into that, it's nothing like what the popular ideas are about it at all. And it's like a melting pot of all of these different things coming together. They even have like Christian elements that ended up in it. It's really fascinating. Um, but yeah, that class was really interesting. I think that might have been my most interesting class that I took. Spanish, I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I was really glad that I passed that class though because I tested into it. I probably shouldn't have been in that class. I just managed to they pass it, and so I got all these extra credits for passing this class that was like a higher level than I was supposed to be at. But
It's like
I'm rambling.
I'm almost get the point of view that American college. I think they would say that they're not padding out a course and like giving unqualified people professorships, but because like I don't think that a lot of people in American colleges actually have a PhD in the subject that they're teaching because they're not.
Oh,
And I think it's a way. So, you know what I mean? Like they'll have like these people that become a professor at university, whereas in England, everyone who is a professor is a doctorate in that subject because the only people they are teaching are people who are taking that subject and only that subject.
well, I can tell you this. My psychology professor was definitely a doctor, and I know because
Right.
he got very angry with me when I called him Mr. whatever his last name was.
Right.
It's Doctor. Uh-oh, he doesn't like me now. So,
If
yeah.
it's like when they're doing these courses, which were like, and if you ask them why do you do that, and they'll say because the students from high school aren't necessary, and we have to aren't properly prepared, and we have to bring them up to speed. And I've heard that
That's a
said.
shame. Yeah, I hear a lot of things about how our school system is not good over here.
It's almost
Sad.
like you think is the would you think in America that the first year of college is like an extra year of high school?
I suppose, but I didn't get past the first year, so who am I to? You can't ask me.
It's not the same thing with Jeff. It's not a lot of, again, making people do subjects they're not suited to.
You know, I really don't like that you can't, and you can just go to a trade school and get a certification, which I got a certification to, oh gosh, of phlebotomy, like drawing blood, doing EKGs. Also, I got that, and then certified nurse's assistant, which was 6 weeks. 6 weeks, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and then I had this thing, but I just couldn't bring myself to go work in that field because I thought all the time I'm going to be, taking people's blood, and I'm going to be miserable because they'll be miserable, and I don't want to be in that situation.
Could you tell us more about how much you actually liked that course, away from the yuck factor of the blood, but
the coursework when we were studying, I loved it. I loved learning about anatomy and how the body works and all of that. I absolutely love it. I would be really excited. And it was just when it came down to actually doing the physical task where I was like, this is horrible. I'm hurting these people. I can't stand it. So, yeah.
Well, I'm getting a lot of SI and a lot of NF from you at the moment. It really is like interesting combination. So that's when you came out of. I was just sort of nailing it down to. So you were doing this in trade school. So you really had a big motivation in doing a subject that was caring for people.
Mm-hmm.
And but also, so if you were comparing the two, like when you were studying psychology and then studying nursing, which were you actually more enthusiastic about, the psychology or the nursing?
Nursing, definitely.
Right. Remember to type that bit up. So.
Okay. But when we did the chapter on abnormal psychology, I was really excited. I had wished that the whole class could be about abnormal psychology. And with the nursing, it wasn't so much like that the information about, how this is what you need to do to change a bedpan or to do, take somebody's temperature, their blood pressure. That stuff I didn't find very interesting. It was when we were learning the names of like the different bones and organs and all these different technical terms for things in the body that I was really fascinated with. We had to do a week in a nursing home, and I would cry so much at that place because it was just an overwhelming, like I felt like these people are here just dying and there's nobody. Sorry. It was very hard. And that was when I realized I couldn't do that job because it was just too hard for me.
Right then. Wow. Right. So after you did the trade school, what happened after that?
Oh gosh. I went back to work at the tourist attraction that I had been working at on and off since high school, which was the Bavarian Inn in Frankenmuth, Michigan. It's like a Bavarian, German-themed restaurant / shops and hotel in a German town. So, we got to wear the little dirndl costumes, and I worked in the wine and beer cellar, and we would do wine and beer tasting for the customers, and it was kind of fun. It was kind of like working, being part of a fairy tale or something, and putting on a show for people, and I really liked that aspect of it. But you know, there's not a lot of money in that unless you're a waitress, and I wasn't a waitress, so.
What happened after then?
Oh, I worked there for like 10 years. And eventually I had issues with childcare because, you know, both of my boys have behavioral problems. And it was just, yeah, not working. And so I've been home with them for a while.
Right. Do you prefer being at home with the children than being out at work?
Oh gosh, I would like to have a job again. I like, okay, how can keeping up with responsibilities around the house and taking care of my kids. It's a lot to me because I don't feel like I'm a natural at, you know, cooking and cleaning and managing details and all that sort of stuff. So when I was at work, those things would slip, and you know, I felt like, oh, I'm doing bad at everything. I'm doing bad at work. I'm doing bad at home. So I definitely like being at home because I can do a better job of those things than I would be if I was working 40 hours a week and just, you know, come home and crash, you know.
Right. So I'll ask you a couple of questions that Victor asked me to ask Laura.
Mhm.
Uh, Now, the way he phrased it was, "Do you cook tasty?"
I do not think I am a good cook. Until recently, I cooked everything was just, you know, frozen meals that I just stick it in the oven and, you know, follow the directions and there it is. And like the microwave stuff or snacks, you know, things you open it up and it's ready to go. Uh, Recently, I've been trying to learn how to make more things from scratch because I realized how much I really enjoy it when somebody does that for me. And it's like, oh, this food is just, it's not just food to fill my belly, it's making me feel amazing. But it's just taking the time to do that I have to really, oh, force myself to do this because the payoff will come, you know?
Um, what was the food like when that you were given from your parents? Was that like frozen food?
Oh no. My mom is a vegetarian and she would cook like giant batch of vegetarian chili or a giant batch of spaghetti. I do a picture of her and named it Spaghetti Woman and it was on the fridge for years because she would just make spaghetti like all the time and then we would eat leftovers for days.
All
But
right.
yeah, she's very, very, very health conscious, like eating whole wheat toast or shredded wheat with no sugar. And I remember she used to feed me oatmeal that had nothing in it except for water and salt. And I would be so disappointed, like, oh man, this doesn't taste good. Why do I have to eat this?
So, uh, what are your thoughts on vegetarianism?
I like it. I think that vegetarian food is most of the time delicious and oh gosh, it's one of those issues I don't like to talk about because I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable or judged. And I'm not a vegetarian now, but I like the aspect of it where I can feel like, oh, I'm not eating any meat. I don't have to feel guilty at all. And I feel bad about saying that because then it implies that I will judge other people for eating meat, which no, I think everybody should make their own decision. And even for a lot of people, it's necessary to eat meat just, to have the energy that they need. But I like it. I think it's a nice thing.
Interesting. Right. I can ask you about. Very good. So I don't. So if we stop this one now and then start the next one.
Okay.
And we'll see how we go.
All right.
Right. There we go.